is going to be responsible
Okay.
for the medical aid, and Taishi is going to be infection control, and food is going to be Laura, and health, and Laura is going to take care of mental health as well, and protection is going to be Tashi, and yeah, that's it pretty much.
Talaya was
And
working
health-
on anything?
Communication.
Oh, okay, her name is not, sorry. Yeah, it's not here.
Communication.
Communication is going to be taken
Okay,
care of.
so now what? Everybody will be reporting on each portion, right? Okay, let's do it, please. Who's first? Let's start with Laura.
Okay. So my portion of the project was to who will be providing the food for the people that are evacuating the cities, and the government will have MREs available from the city, from the state, and also we'll have an evacuation of the supermarkets. Like we'll go into the supermarkets and empty out the food, the canned foods, and so we can take them to the recreation centers and it'll be available for everybody. And we'll also ask people for volunteers to bring in extra foods that they have that they want to donate.
To create a bank, right?
Yeah,
Food bank.
to make a food bank for everybody. It'll be available for everyone. So even the people who volunteer their food, they will still have the opportunity to go to the food bank and get whatever they need. The handicapped, the elderly, and the children of the city. And the first people that we will be evacuating are the people that live closest to the volcano. So it'll be the people closest to the beaches and the shores. And we'll start the evacuation from them to out of the city. And first, we have designated areas for every 2-mile radius for neighborhoods to gather at, like a park or a church. And we will be picking them up in buses. So first we'll evacuate everybody that's at the designated area. We'll pick them up with buses and take them to the recreation site. And whoever cannot leave their house, the families that have handicapped personnel, will stay in their houses, and we will have notifications and messages out to those people that we will have separate buses to come around that are designated for handicapped people to collect the people that are left in their
evacuation and care. So my objective was to effectively triage patients, which is providing the best care for the most amount of patients. Treat patients in a mass casualty situation, which is when the number of patients surpasses resources available, and to evacuate all casualties in immediate danger. So the first thing I would do is, all the healthcare facilities would have a response to be notified that there is a disaster coming in within 72 hours. So all available hospital staff would be activated, so you could bring in as many staff and employees as you can. Volunteers would be requested for tasks such as litter bearers, like people carrying stretchers, and crowd and traffic control. And then we would set up a communication system. So the first thing we would have to do is evacuate the healthcare facilities within the red zone. So Mount Vesuvius, Pompeii's eruption had about a 9-mile radius of people in immediate danger. So any healthcare facility within that 9-mile radius would need to be evacuated. So the first thing we would need to do is establish a safe evacuation destination, so a hospital outside of the eruption radius that people could be evacuated to. So we would evacuate all patients that are stabilized and do not require emergency medical treatment. So anyone that can be evacuated would be evacuated to the new destination. We would deploy all the medical vehicles we have to transport patients, and when we could use CASEVAC vehicles as well, which are vehicles that aren't medical, but they can still transport patients. And then as the number of patients went down in the facility in danger, we would start moving personnel to the new facility and only keep essential personnel at the evacuating facility. So that's before the eruption, but once the eruption happens, there's a different response for patients within the danger area. So this is the volcano, and then this is the red zone, or the 9-mile radius of people in immediate danger. So what I would do is, for people that can't reach a healthcare facility themselves, or they're trapped in the red zone, I would establish CCPs. So each or casualty collection points, each one would have a 1-mile radius, or a 1-mile collection radius. So these are for people that can't reach a healthcare facility themselves. They're in buildings such as churches or schools or structures, and they're manned by a nurse or a medic or emergency someone, just to provide basic life-saving interventions. So the casualties are collected by patrolling ambulances, and obviously there's communication between the CCPs and healthcare facilities. So as they're collected, they're all brought to healthcare facilities outside of the red zone. So these are where the patients are being evacuated to. So this starts the triage. So once you have your mass casualty event, all these patients are being triaged outside of the actual department. So before they enter the healthcare facility, they enter the triage area. So a really important thing about triage is making sure you control the flow of traffic so it doesn't get congested. So you dedicate one person or a team to control traffic. And that could be a police officer or a civilian. It doesn't have to be anyone trained, just someone to direct the flow of traffic. So this is the hospital. So after the patients are dropped off outside of the hospital, there's a triage doctor or nurse, a medical personnel who triages the patient. They determine what station they need to go to, and there's 4.
The seriousness of the condition.
Yeah. So the doctor, he receives the patient, assesses them, and then determines what priority they are. Immediate is life-threatening injuries or illness. Minimal is something like minor hemorrhaging, something that can wait but is still important. Delayed would be like a fracture or something where the patient can sit and they don't, mostly ambulatory patients, people that can walk that don't need immediate treatment. And expectant is it's the dead or mortally ill, people that aren't going to make it. And expectant is always out of sight of the treatment area or any patient holding area. It's somewhere that can't be seen.
Separate.
So each of these stations is manned by a nurse or a medic, someone providing treatment while they're in the triage area. So once a treatment bed becomes available in the hospital, there's a runner at the door who communicates with the triage doctor that there's a bed open. The doctor sends in the next patient, the highest priority patient. So once a patient's treated in the hospital, also the person at the door is documenting who's coming in. They're processing the patient, they're taking down their name, they're keeping track of where they are, what time they come in. So once the patient is treated, they're taken out, and then we have an evac staging area. And this is where we have our upper, which is urgent, priority, and routine. So it's almost like a second triage for patients that have been treated. But if someone is not stabilized and the resources of the hospital can't meet what the patient needs, they can be evac to a higher echelon of care. So we have another doctor, basically a second triage doctor, that sorts the patient in priority of evacuation. So the urgent patient would be someone who needs to be evacuated within the next 24 hours. Priority is someone within the next, or urgent is within the next couple hours. Priority is within the next 24 hours, and routine is someone that can wait.
And this is why, because actually during exposure to the volcano, this ashes and smoke will jeopardize coming of airplanes or helicopters. Okay, you can't go through. So most care should be performed on exactly on the side.
Okay, so that
process of using words, sounds, and signs or behavior expression, or exchange information to express your ideas, thoughts, and feelings. So basically, we will keep updates on the radios and social media, if possible, and television. And we will also make sure that we will answer all concerned questions from the communities and keep them updated on trying to find their